Sophia was running late. The clock on the office building's hallway wall seemed to be running faster than usual, and her heart was beating at a frantic pace. With her laptop under her arm and her bag swinging by her side, she crossed the building's entrance, ignoring the echo of her own haste. The day promised to be intense, like all the others, but there was something in the air that made her restless. She didn't know exactly what it was, but the feeling that something was about to change accompanied her. As she entered the elevator, she came across a stranger. He was tall, with dark hair and a gaze that seemed to penetrate her defenses. Sophia felt a wave of heat rise to her face as she met his eyes. It was as if that brief moment was charged with meaning, a moment frozen in time. The stranger smiled, a smile that seemed to promise secrets and new adventures. The elevator made its usual movement, slowly ascending the company's floors, but for Sophia, each second stretched out, each heartbeat becoming more intense. "Hi," he said, his voice deep and smooth. "Do you work here?" "Yes," Sophia replied, a bit stunned. "I'm an advertiser. And you?" "I'm Ethan. I work upstairs. Actually, I'm moving here." He leaned a little closer, as if wanting to share something intimate. "I'm still getting used to the city." She allowed herself to smile. His gaze was so engaging that it made the world around her seem distant. Manhattan can be a challenge, but it also has its rewards. The elevator stopped abruptly, and the door opened with a creak, breaking the magic of the moment. Ethan hesitated, as if he were about to leave, but looked at her one more time. "It was a pleasure meeting you, Sophia." And then he was gone. The door closed, and the connection they both felt before vanished in an instant. Sophia stood still, watching the elevator panel numbers continue to rise. What was that look? And why did she feel so intrigued by someone she had just met? She shook her head, trying to shake off the confusion. When she finally reached her floor, Sophia found herself unable to concentrate on her work. Ethan's image persisted in her mind, like an echo that refused to fade. She tried to focus on an advertising campaign that needed to be finalized, but her thoughts always returned to him. The way he looked at her, the way his smile seemed to light up the environment, all of that left her uneasy. "Are you okay?" asked her teammate Clara with a concerned expression. "You seem distant." "I'm just thinking," Sophia replied, trying to disguise the confusion she felt. "I met someone in the elevator earlier." "Someone interesting?" Clara raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. "I don't know. His name is Ethan. It was just a quick meeting." Clara smiled, a knowing expression on her face. "A brief encounter can be enough to leave an impression. You should meet him again." Sophia shook her head, laughing softly. "Yeah, maybe. But who is he? I have no idea where to find him." But after lunch, as she walked towards her desk, doubt turned into a decision. She was determined to find out more about the mysterious Ethan. Something inside her pushed her to find that stranger, to understand if what she felt was real or just a fleeting illusion. "I'll ask around," she thought, as her determination grew. If he was really on the upper floor, someone must know him. With a racing heart and a new flame of hope, Sophia embarked on her search, not knowing that this decision would lead her to a world of discoveries and revelations about herself. Sophia climbed the stairs towards the floor where she knew Ethan worked. Her heart was pounding in her chest, and adrenaline was driving her. When she opened the door, she was greeted by a vibrant scene, a networking party, with people spreading throughout the space, laughing and chatting animatedly. The twinkling lights reflected in the windows, and soft music filled the room, creating an atmosphere of relaxation and opportunities. She hesitated at the entrance, observing the groups that were forming. The smell of canapés and red wine lingered in the air, making everything even more seductive. She tried to blend in, approaching a group talking about marketing trends. "So our company's new campaign is on the rise. The return was impressive," said a man with a blue tie, gesturing enthusiastically. Sophia forced a smile and joined the conversation. "That's true, I read about it. The digital approach really made all the difference," she responded, trying to disguise her anxiety. But her mind was far away, fixed on the image of Ethan. His face wouldn't leave her mind, and the search for answers made her feel out of place, like an intruder at a party that wasn't hers. As she tried to focus on the conversations, a curly-haired woman approached. "Hi, I'm Claire. You look a little lost. Are Are you here for any specific reason? The curiosity in Claire's eyes was genuine, and it made Sophia relax a little. Hi, I'm Sophia. Actually, I'm looking for someone, an acquaintance who might be here, she confessed, unsure if she should mention Ethan's name. Claire smiled, encouraging. Ah, the search for a connection. I understand that well. Sometimes life takes us to unexpected places. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing here, actually, Sophia admitted, looking around. But I can't deny that I'm intrigued by someone I met recently. You should follow your heart. Sometimes the best things happen when we least expect them, Claire said, winking. If you need help, I'm around. Sophia felt a warmth of gratitude. The conversation flowed, and the two women were soon laughing about disastrous date stories and career dreams. Claire became a sort of confidant, and every word exchanged encouraged her not to give up on finding Ethan. You should be bold, Sophia. Sometimes you have to take risks to get what you want, Claire suggested as they toasted with wine glasses. The relaxed atmosphere of the party made Sophia forget, even if briefly, her obsession. However, Claire's voice echoed in her mind, instilling a new determination. She decided that she wouldn't let him slip away again and that she should be bolder in her search. As they talked, Sophia couldn't help but notice the movement in the room. People were mingling, and laughter echoed. But it was when her gaze got lost in the crowd that hope made her shudder. There, in the distance, she saw Ethan. Her heart raced. He was talking to a group of people, his charming smile lighting up the room. "It's him," she murmured, not realizing that her voice had come out louder than intended. Claire, noticing the sudden change of focus, smiled mischievously. "Go! Don't miss this chance!" Sophia took a deep breath, crossing the space with determined steps, but as she got closer, a sudden movement made Ethan step away. He turned, and for a moment their eyes met, but before she could reach him, he disappeared among the guests, like a mirage. "Damn it!" she exclaimed, feeling frustration rise. "Why does he always vanish?" Determination grew within her, and with Claire's help, she wasn't willing to give up. "I'll find him. I need to understand what's happening." Claire, noticing Sophia's intensity, placed her hand on her shoulder. "You have to go after what you want. Don't let a slip discourage you. Trust your intuition." The words of support echoed in Sophia's mind, who was determined not to let the opportunity slip away again. The party continued around her, but for Sophia, what mattered was the search for Ethan. She wouldn't give up. Sophia woke up to a new day, sunlight filtering through the curtains of her small Manhattan apartment. The coffee was ready, but the morning routine carried a different weight. Since the day she met Ethan, her life seemed to have gone off track, as if the search for a stranger had become her new obsession. With a jolt, she decided she couldn't wait for chance anymore. She needed to take charge of her search. She dressed quickly, opting for a light blouse and jeans, and headed out to explore the cafes and bars near the office. As she walked through the busy streets, her heart pounded with a mix of excitement and nervousness. "Where are you, Ethan?" she thought as she passed a cozy cafe she had noticed a few times before. The atmosphere there seemed ideal for a casual encounter. She entered the cafe and spotted a table at the back where she could observe the comings and goings of customers. She ordered a coffee and sat down, watching each face that entered. The anticipation of seeing Ethan kept her in a state of constant alertness. The aroma of coffee mixed with the murmur of conversations around her enveloped her, but her mind remained focused on what really mattered. "Hi, are you waiting for someone?" asked an enthusiastic voice. Sophia looked up and saw a tall young man with brown hair and an open smile. He seemed confident, and his presence was somehow comforting. "Actually, no, I'm just observing," Sophia replied, trying to hide the confusion she felt. "I'm Ryan," he said, extending his hand. She hesitated for a moment, but ended up shaking his hand. "And you? Are you new around here?" "I'm Sophia. I work at the office nearby," she explained, trying to keep the conversation light. Ryan sat down across from her, and the conversation flowed naturally. He was charismatic and funny, making her laugh with funny stories about his experiences in New York. However, a part of her was distracted, always returning to thoughts of Ethan. The connection with Ryan was undeniable, but he wasn't the man who occupied her thoughts. "You seem a bit distant, Sophia. Is something bothering you?" Ryan asked with a curious look. "Actually, it's just that." There's someone I met and can't stop thinking about, she admitted, feeling vulnerable. Ryan smiled, a smile that seemed to understand her inner struggle. That happens. Sometimes we get lost in someone we don't even know well, right? But what if that person isn't as interesting as they seem? It might be good to open yourself up to new possibilities. Those words resonated with Sophia, but the idea of letting go of Ethan seemed impossible. It's complicated. I feel like there's something special, but at the same time, I don't know anything about him. Maybe it's time to figure out what you really want, Ryan replied, leaning forward with a sparkle in his eyes. Who knows, maybe it's just the idea of him that fascinates you? Sometimes reality is much more fun. They continued talking for some time, and Sophia began to relax, allowing herself to enjoy the present moment. Ryan was charming, and she found herself laughing at his jokes and having more fun than she expected. But when she looked at the clock, the weight of expectation hit her again. What was she doing? She was there, on a pleasant date, but her mind kept returning to Ethan. When she finally said goodbye to Ryan, she felt a mix of relief and confusion. He invited her out again, and she accepted, but her mind was still trapped in the idea of Ethan. The walk back home seemed longer, each step resonating like an echo of her doubts. What did she really want? The instant connection she had experienced in the elevator, or the fun and lightness that Ryan offered? When she got home, Sophia sat on her bed, reflecting on the duality of her feelings. Why is it so difficult? She murmured to herself. The search for Ethan had led her to an unexpected encounter, but the question hung in the air. Was Ryan just a distraction, or the answer she was looking for? Sophia felt lost between two worlds, and the confusion consumed her. In her mind, the faces of Ethan and Ryan mingled, and she wondered which of them could really fill the void she felt. A new journey lay ahead of her, but the path was uncertain and dangerous, full of promises and disappointments. Sophia was nervous as she entered the elegant hall of the rival company's new product launch event. The atmosphere was charged with excitement, with well-dressed people circulating, champagne glasses in hand, and radiant smiles. However, her heart was racing not from the excitement of the event, but from the expectation of meeting Ethan. He had become a constant presence in her thoughts, an obsession that defied her logic. As she moved through the crowd, Sophia spotted a familiar face. Claire, her new friend and confidant, was chatting animatedly with a group. "Sophia!" Claire waved, and Sophia approached, trying to hide the anxiety consuming her. "You won't believe what I heard about the new product. They say it's revolutionary." Sophia forced a smile, but her mind was elsewhere. "Have you seen Ethan?" Sophia couldn't avoid the question, her words coming out more hurriedly than she intended. Claire raised an eyebrow, but before she could respond, Sophia interrupted her. "Sorry, it's just that I really need to talk to him." "Calm down. He might still show up. Let's have some fun before we get obsessed with men, okay?" Claire said, trying to divert her friend's attention. Sophia nodded, but the search for Ethan was like a shadow following her. Finally, as she was pouring herself a drink, Sophia saw him. Ethan was in a corner of the hall, talking to a group of people. His gaze crossed the room and met hers. Time seemed to stop for a moment. She took a deep breath and with a racing heart, decided to approach. "Hi, Ethan," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. He turned, offering a smile that made her stomach turn. "Sophia, what a surprise to see you here. I'm here with some friends, and you." The tone of the conversation was light, but the tension between them was palpable. Ethan hesitated, his eyes shifting for a moment. "I'm here for work. This is an important event for the company." The response was quick, but there was hesitation in his words. "I understand. It seems like it's always like that, doesn't it?" Sophia said, trying to hide her nervousness. "Always running from one side to the other." He smiled again, but his expression soon turned serious. "Sophia, I need to be honest with you. I'm in a complicated situation. It's not the right time for us to get involved." Her heart sank. Complicated? The word echoed like the echo of an unrequited desire. "You mean you're in a relationship?" Ethan hesitated again, and this made her feel a mix of sadness and frustration. "Yes, something like that. I can't get involved with someone right now. Life is complicated, and love, well, love is the last thing I can seek right now." Sophia felt hurt, but empathy took hold of her. "I understand. I don't want to be a complication in your life." The sincerity in her words made her feel an even deeper connection, but at the same time, it led her to an abyss of insecurity. She stepped back, trying to put some space between them. The party continued around her, but everything seemed distant. In a more isolated corner, Claire found her, noticing the look of discouragement on her friend's face. "What happened? You were so excited to see him." He can't get involved. He has a complicated relationship," Sophia replied, her voice almost a whisper. Claire seemed to think for a moment before speaking. "Sometimes people have fears that prevent them from moving forward. Don't take it to heart." Sophia looked at Claire, but something in her expression made her hesitate. "And you, what do you think about love and the complications it brings?" Claire looked away, as if a shadow passed over her. "Look, Sophia, we all have our stories. Love can be beautiful, but it can also hurt. It's hard to trust, and I've had my experiences." "Experiences like what?" Sophia asked, intrigued. Claire hesitated, but their friendship seemed to call for more openness. "Betrayals, disappointments. Sometimes love is just an illusion we create to feel safe." Claire's words reverberated in Sophia's mind. She felt lost in a sea of uncertainties. The attraction to Ethan was strong, but what if his reality was more complicated than she could handle? And Ryan, who had brought a new kind of joy, but who had never made her feel the same warmth as Ethan. Sophia was torn, tangled in a maze of emotions. The party continued around her, but she knew she had to make a decision about what she really wanted in a relationship, and that decision wouldn't be easy. Sophia paced back and forth in her small apartment, her heart racing and her mind confused. The revelation that Ryan was an old friend of Ethan's hit her like a punch in the stomach. She felt betrayed, not just by Ryan, but by the situation that placed her between two men who were somehow intertwined. What did she really know about them? The memories of the moments she shared with Ryan now seemed poisoned. The laughter, the confidences, all of it turned into a tangle of doubts. "Why didn't you tell me?" She whispered to herself as anger began to bubble up. It was a question that had no answer, and that made her even more frustrated. The phone rang, cutting through her thoughts. It was Claire, her friend who had always supported her. Sophia hesitated, but decided to answer. "Hi, Claire," she said, trying to hide the tension in her voice. "Sophie, you won't believe what happened," Claire exclaimed on the other end of the line, her voice full of excitement. "Oh, really? What happened?" Sophia tried to sound indifferent, but curiosity consumed her. "I saw Ethan last night. He was with a woman, and he seemed kind of distant. I don't know. What do you think is going on between you two?" The question caught her by surprise. Sophia wanted to scream that nothing was happening, but instead, she responded with an acid tone. "I don't know, Claire. Maybe I should ask him. You know him well, don't you?" The pause was long, as if Claire was weighing her words. Finally, she said, "Sophie, I just want you to have what you deserve. You're amazing, and you shouldn't settle for less." "Less than what?" Sophia shot back, frustration overflowing. "Less than being torn between two men, one who can't give me what I want and another who hides the truth from me." Claire hesitated. Sophia realized that her words had hit a sensitive point. "Look, I just want you to be happy. If Ethan isn't the answer, maybe it's time to leave this behind." "Easy for you to say," Sophia retorted, her voice rising. "You don't have to deal with this." She hung up, feeling the weight of frustration on her shoulders. What did Claire know about what was happening between her and Ethan? The truth was, the more she thought about it, the more confused she became. What did she really want? The security of Ryan or the intensity of Ethan? When she finally found herself face to face with Ethan once again, the tension in the air was palpable. They met at a cafe they used to frequent, a sort of refuge between the two worlds she inhabited. The soft light of the place contrasted with the storm forming inside her. "Sophia, it's good to see you," Ethan exclaimed, a broad smile on his face, but she noticed that there was something behind the expression, a hesitation. "It's good to see you too, Ethan." She forced a smile, but confusion dominated her. "Can we talk?" Ethan's expression changed instantly. He nodded, and they sat at a table away from curious eyes. "What's going on?" he asked, his voice low, almost a whisper. "I found out about you and Ryan." The words came out like a shot, cutting through the air between them. Ethan frowned, confused. What do you mean? He's your friend, Ethan, and I didn't know. How could you put me in this situation? The indignation was evident in her voice, and she realized she wasn't just angry at Ethan, but also at herself. I didn't know you were seeing each other, Ethan protested, his expression changing to a mix of concern and frustration. I never wanted you to feel like this. And what did you want? That I stay here waiting for you to sort out your life? Sophia was close to exploding, but something in Ethan's weakness made her hesitate. He seemed genuinely lost. I don't know what I want. He ran his hand through his hair, a gesture Sophia was already familiar with. All I know is that since I met you, my life has been turned upside down. The words left Sophia stunned. Part of her wanted to believe, but the other part warned her that she was putting herself in too vulnerable a position. I can't go on like this, Ethan. The decision came out of her lips before she could think it over. I need clarity. I need to understand what I really want. Ethan looked her in the eye, and for a moment, Sophia saw pain and confusion reflected in him. She knew she was in the middle of an emotional storm, but there was something inside her that screamed for freedom. The conversation could be the first step towards that, but at the same time, it was scary. I understand, he said, his voice low, almost hoarse. But I don't want to lose you. Maybe you've already lost me, Ethan. The words came out of her mouth like a sharp blade. She stood up and, without looking back, left the cafe, feeling both lighter and heavier than ever. Determination was growing inside her. It was time to focus on herself. Sophia was sitting at her desk, her gaze lost on the computer screen, but her mind couldn't focus on anything other than Ethan. The past few weeks had been a whirlwind of emotions, and the revelation that he was actually in a relationship with Claire left her disoriented. She had always trusted Claire, a woman who had become her friend and confidant, but now that trust was turning into a sense of betrayal. The idea that Claire had used their friendship to get revenge on Ethan made her furious. Why didn't you tell me? Sophia asked, her voice full of hurt as she faced Claire in a small cafe where they used to meet. The environment around them seemed distant, as if the city's noise had silenced, making the moment even heavier. Claire looked away, avoiding the confrontation. I didn't want you to get hurt, Sophia. I thought that if you knew, you would become obsessed with him. You don't understand what he did to me. Understand? You used me as a pawn in your revenge. That's not protection, Claire. It's betrayal. Sophia's tone rose, attracting the attention of some nearby tables. She felt like a puppet, pulled by invisible strings that her friend had manipulated. I just wanted him to feel the pain I felt. He doesn't deserve you, Sophia. He's a manipulator. Claire tried to justify her actions, but Sophia was tired of hearing excuses. And what do you expect me to do? Walk away from him because of you? Is that what you want? Sophia was now standing, her voice firm. You have no right to decide who I can or cannot love. Claire finally looked into Sophia's eyes. I just don't want you to get hurt. He's a complicated person. And I'm a strong person, Sophia replied, taking a deep breath. I'm going to talk to him. I need to know the truth. After that confrontation, Sophia walked through the streets of Manhattan with a mix of anger and determination. When she arrived at the office, her heart was racing. Ethan was there, talking to some colleagues. He seemed so carefree, as if nothing was happening, but she knew she needed to confront him. Ethan, she called, and he turned, surprised to see her. The smile that lit up his face quickly faded. Sophia, are you okay? He seemed genuinely concerned, but she had no time for that. We need to talk. Now. The firmness in her voice made him nod, and together they stepped away from the group. In the empty hallway, Sophia didn't hesitate. You're with Claire, aren't you? The question came out like a blow. Ethan hesitated, and that was all Sophia needed to feel betrayed again. Sophia, No, I don't want to hear excuses. Claire told me everything, and if you really cared, you would have been honest from the start. Her voice trembled with anger and disappointment. Claire has her own issues. I don't want you to get involved in that. He tried to justify himself, but Sophia was determined. Involved? You already involved me by not being sincere. I can't be part of this. I deserve more. She turned, walking towards the building's exit. As she moved away, a sense of relief enveloped her. Sophia realized that she didn't need Ethan's or Claire's validation. She deserved a love that valued her. not a web of lies and betrayals. As she descended the stairs, a sense of freedom enveloped her. She was finally freeing herself from the shackles that tied her to the past. The sun was shining brightly outside, and she smiled as she realized that, regardless of what had happened, she was ready for a new beginning. Now that you've reflected on that fleeting glance and what it really means to you, think about how these small interactions can shape your life experiences. Sometimes, what seems like mere chance can be a lost opportunity to create something meaningful. Have you ever thought about the times you've let moments like these slip away, and what could have been if you had acted differently? Remember, the next time you feel that butterflies in the stomach moment, it might be the right time to do something about it. So, how will you react the next time you encounter such a fleeting opportunity? Respond in the comments, and don't forget to click on the video that's appearing on your screen now. This is, in my opinion, one of the best stories I've ever told. And if you liked what you heard just now, you'll definitely love this other story too. So, subscribe to the channel, click on the video that's on your screen now, and I'll see you in a few seconds.